What if I told you that Kevin Feige has all but confirmed an X-Men versus Avengers crossover? I'm serious. He actually has. And a lot of times, not confirming is confirmation, especially when you watch the body language, the eyes, and just the reaction when a question is asked. This interview was courtesy of Phase Zero. Watch Kevin Feige's reaction when he is asked about the X-Men versus the Avengers.
We brought Hugh back. Has Hugh coming back maybe reinvigorated some interest from people we thought might be done? Could we see an Avengers versus X-Men type event that combines those casts?
Well, what's fun is it's all possible now. And I'm glad that we could educate you on film rights and IP law. And you know, I also learned those things when I started at Marvel a long time ago. And the frustration of when you don't have access to all of your characters. So when we were doing Civil War, for instance, or even the Infinity War, there were just dozens of characters that we had to take out of those comic stories because we didn't have access to them. Now, as we choose upcoming storylines, we don't have to do that. Sure. And we have access to all of them.
Now, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to get the vibe that he knows exactly what they're talking about, and he already has a plan in action for that to happen. But when would that happen? I've seen videos being made that the X-Men versus Avengers is going to be one of those undecided slots for the multiversal saga. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think there's any way that's possible. But I'm also going to say that we will get the X-Men versus Avengers. I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain when this could actually happen. Welcome to the multiverse, everybody. My name is Jimmy. If you guys enjoy the content, we have relaunched the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you turn on those notifications. And if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, definitely let me know in the comments. So yes, the X-Men versus Avengers has happened actually a couple times. There was the comic run. I believe it was somewhere in the mid-2000s, somewhere like 2010-ish, I'm not sure, 2012. There was also a What If series, the Avengers versus the X-Men. But the main one was the Avengers X Sanction. It was a 4-issue miniseries, and it led directly into the Avengers versus the X-Men crossover. So, I'm not going to go into detail about this, but you can just imagine every type of Avengers and X-Men confrontation, battle, 1v1 group fight that you want, and they're all here. They are. I mean, we've got Cable, we've got the Nova Corps, we've got Phoenix, we've got everybody, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Iron Man, Hulk, Red Hulk, Captain America, Cyclops. I could go on and on. Even the Serpent Society is in here. Emma Frost is in here. Vision, Scarlet Witch. Once again, they pulled from everywhere. Locations like the Savage Land, Wakanda, Latveria. We even went to the moon on this one. So yes, it was a ton of fun. Namor, Colossus, Magic. I'm sure there's some I'm going to miss. Hawkeye, Black Panther, Iron Fist, Magneto, Professor X, and the list goes on and on. So yes, it was a massive crossover. It was on the level of what you would expect from like a Secret Wars. Now the question is, when and how does Marvel actually pull this off? And I'm going to give you my theory onto how this actually works, and hopefully we come back down the road and we are like, okay, we were pretty right on some stuff. We were wrong on some stuff, but we were right on some stuff. So I am 100% confirmed in my mind that we will get an X-Men versus Avengers. And it will be an Avengers-esque movie. Think back to Captain America Civil War, but on a much bigger scale. I honestly think it will be an Avengers movie. I do. But when would that actually happen? There's people making videos right now just because of this interview saying, oh, they're going to make this happen before we get to Secret Wars. They have to make this happen. And I don't think there's any possible way you shoehorn this level of an event in before Secret Wars. You can't, because you haven't even introduced a small portion of the X-Men cast. Yes, Deadpool and Wolverine is out. Yes, we now have mutants everywhere. Spoiler alert, if you don't want anything spoiled for Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe click off the video for the next minute or so. And yes, we have the Foxverse mutants. And yes, We have proof that some of them did survive, or all of them did survive, to be honest. No, they didn't all survive. So Johnny Storm didn't survive. But some of them did survive, and they could end up being in Secret Wars. But that is not enough to fuel this crossover event. This crossover event, you have to have a full ensemble of Avengers. I mean, we're talking a lot. Even the young Avengers, you got to pull from everywhere. And then you have to have an entire team of X-Men, but not just the good guys. You also have to have the bad guys, because in this crossover, they come together. They work together, and it's kind of funny because as you go through the crossover, it's like individual fights between X-Men and Avengers, and then it starts to be big group fights. And at the end, most of the core X-Men and Avengers are like, wait a second, this isn't right. And then they end up, I'm pretty sure, they're fighting Emma Frost and maybe Cyclops. I think those two are the main ones that they're on Utopia and they're trying to do things their way, and then everybody's like, wait a second, that's not the right way to do it. So it's kind of funny how it works. But you have to have so many characters, which means you have to have character building, which there is not enough time leading up to Secret Wars to have character building for that magnitude of an event. Yes, we are going to have more and more mutants. We are going to have more and more X-Men brought into the fold for Secret Wars. You have to have them in there. It's part of it. But I fully think X-Men versus Avengers is down the road after that. After we hit that hard reset from Secret Wars. And here's why. Because once you start to flesh out all the storylines and you build out that side of the cast, which is huge in its own right, we may actually get an X-Men movie before we get that. It would make sense to get one kind of like Avengers, and then we built up from there. We probably need an X-Men movie to start building out those storylines before we ever think about a crossover event versus the Avengers. But once we get through Secret Wars, we're all of the same accord that they're going to hit the reset button. They have to. These actors are getting too old. They are, across the board. You can't continue to have Benedict as Doctor Strange. You can't continue to have the same Scarlet. You sure can't continue to have Iron Man. Deadpool's already said they're going to make Hugh do this until he's 90 as Wolverine. But there comes a point where you have to reset. You have to get a new Thor. You have to get a new Wolverine. You have to get a new Iron Man. You have to get basically a brand new everything. And I fully feel that that's what they're doing with Secret Wars. Secret Wars at the very end will be where they hit the button and it is that reset. Whether it's a soft reset or hard reset, it's still, it remains to be seen. But that has to be the moment. That's the only moment they have. They have to take advantage. So we go through that reset, and then we start kind of building out the X-Men saga, which is a whole nother side of the comics we haven't even touched. And they are probably really excited about the content. But how do you build up? How do you go from the Infinity Saga? You built it up over a decade. It was a massive event. It was Infinity War and Endgame, and it was what we wanted. And now you're building up the Multiverse Saga, which has been a rough, rocky ride, I will admit. We're going. There's a lot of movies people didn't like. We had Kang. Now we don't have Kang. Now we have Doctor Doom. We have RDJ. But in the end, I think they're going to right the ship. And I think the Secret Wars saga, whether it ends up being Avengers Doomsday and then one Secret Wars, or actually part 1 and 2, is going to be mind-blowing for everybody. The fan service is definitely going to be there if they match the comics kind of energy when it comes to Secret Wars. But what do you do after that? Because that's how this world works. Everybody's like, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me as of today? I don't care about the past. How are you going to wow me in the movie theaters moving forward? The only way you do that is by building out the X-Men and having the next huge crossover be the X-Men versus the Avengers. So yes, I am 100% confident it's going to happen. I'm 110% confident after watching Kevin Feige's reaction in that interview with Phase Zero, but I'm also pretty confident that it's not going to happen until we get through this multiverse saga. I just don't see it. I don't see it being a thing. I don't see them shoehorning it in or being able to build out the storylines that are needed to do something on that level. So you guys let me know what you think. Do you think it's going to happen before we hit the reset? Or do you think it's going to be the next big thing as we get into like 2030, which is crazy to even think about. 2030 in Marvel movies? Holy cow. They have to be thinking 5, 10, 15 years down the road. That's how it works. These IPs make money, and they have to continue to generate the money out. And that will be a whole new world. We'll probably have Miles as our Spider-Man. We'll have the Young Avengers fleshed out. I have no idea who's going to end up being cast for all the X-Men roles. But if you're a true Marvel fan, you're going to be there for every moment just like me. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.